Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Ridge from Youngblood Reviews, and I'm here on Bookish Days, and this week's topic is books that surprised us. And I've got some books that really did surprise me, which is really odd for me. I don't really get surprised that well, but books must be the exception, because I get surprised a lot by them. And some of these books surprised me good, and then some of them surprised me in a kind of a bad way. And I'll kind of describe why they surprised me and why they kind of disappointed me in a surprised way. The first book is Hourglass by Myra McIntyre. This book surprised me mostly because it was so good, and it took for Timepiece to come out for me to really enjoy this book. I think it was because I was not ready for this book at the time, and time travel and ghosts, I don't think they really mixed well for me at the time, so I just couldn't get into it, and then I read it again, and I was like, bam, it was amazing. I loved it. This is an amazing book. If you haven't read it, then go check it out. And the second book comes out like in one of our videos, June 12th. So it's gonna be a great book. Timepiece was amazing, so I loved it. This was a great book. Go and get it if you haven't. The next book, you guys are gonna hate me because this is like something nobody would ever say. But I did love this book. That's not a bad sign. But around the time that I read this book, I had not blogged I had not blogged at all. I did not know there was such thing as book reviews or anything like that, but I did read it and I thought it was amazing, and that was The Iron King. And the reason this book surprised me, it's by Julie Kagawa, if I hadn't said that. The reason this book surprised me was it was one of those spontaneous reads, and I don't really do that a lot. Spontaneous reads are just not my thing. And by spontaneous reads, I mean just go to the library or go to the bookstore and just buy something I've never really heard of before and just read it if the synopsis was good enough. But this was a spontaneous read, and I think I finished this on the way to Knoxville because I was hanging out with my mom that day. And this book was amazing, and I enjoyed every second of it. This book is amazing. And that's why it surprised me. It was amazing. I'd never read it before, and the whole series was amazing. So I was very happy to actually read this book. The next book surprised me in a bad way. I say that with all seriousness. And that is Every Other Day by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Let me start off with the reason this book disappointed me in a surprising way. I thought this book was going to be amazing and in all of its glory, but no. I started it, and she mixed like demons and stuff, hunting demons, with science. And I'm not really science fiction-y. I don't like science fiction. I'm trying to get more into it. But if you mix demons with science fiction, you don't need to, I don't think, do that. But I don't know. But I stopped reading it basically because it did disappoint me a little that it was kind of science fiction-y. Maybe I just couldn't take science fiction at the time. I don't know. But I do plan on reading it sometime again. Gonna try to get into it. I really do want to read more science fiction, but that's just why this book disappointed me, because I didn't know it was science fiction. I thought it was demon hunting and stuff like that. So yeah. The next book, it's another disappointer, is Sweetly by Jackson Pierce. Before you all start hating, I didn't like this book mostly. I love the cover. The cover's amazing, and the synopsis is amazing, and the story that it's based on is amazing. But a little too much like the first book. That's all I'm saying. That's why it disappointed me. A little bit too much like the first book for me. I don't know why. It's just, I couldn't take that. But I love Jackson Pierce. I love her book. Sisters Red was amazing. I'm going to read Purity pretty soon because I heard that was just amazing. But this book, I don't know why, it just disappointed me. But I am going to read it again because I don't like to be the odd person out and read a book and absolutely hate it. But I will be reading it again. Plus, Fathomless comes out in September, so that's another option to read this again. The next book is another disappointer, and it is White Cat by Holly Black. I got recommended to read this book mostly because I heard it was a great book, and it's about, I think, it's curse workers. But what really got me was the beginning. I didn't like the beginning as much, but I am going to try to read this again because I got the new cover to Red Glove, and I want to read this series and just love it because Holly Black is amazing. I read her other books, Tithe, Ironside, and Valiant. I think that's the names. I hope not. But they're the modern day fairy tales. And I just want to read. I read those and she's amazing. I love Holly. She's an awesome writer. But this book disappointed me, but I am going to read it again just so I can probably fall in love with it. So I can read Red Glove, and then I can read Blackheart, which I'm more excited to read. I don't know why. It just sounds amazing. But yeah. Next book was not a disappointer, and I loved it. I loved getting a chance to read it, and it was Across the Universe by Beth Revis. The reason I was surprised by this was because mostly I didn't like the title. I guess it caught me off guard, the title did, because of that movie called Across the Universe. I was like, is it the book of the movie or something? But no, that is not the case here. This is an amazing romance novel, and I loved every second of it. It was amazing. It had suspense. It was kind of like a mystery / romance. Futuristic. I love the future. I'm more into futuristic books now. I think I just got done with a book that was futuristic, and it was amazing, and I loved Across the Universe, and I haven't read A Million Suns yet, but I do plan on reading it because this book was awesome. The next book, I never thought I would ever actually love, but it turned out I did love it, and it is Thumped by Megan McCafferty. I got Thumped before I'd even read Bumped, and Bumped I borrowed from a friend, and I didn't even read the third chapter. It was boring. The most dry book I've ever read. And I stopped it. But then I went to Thumped, because usually I do skip a lot of books if I don't like the first book. But then I went to Thumped, and Thumped was much better. I loved Thumped. Harmony, the girl that was like a big, crazy girl, she turns out to be quite a very independent person in this book. And then, I think that was Harmony. Let me check. Yeah, it was Harmony. And then Melody, she didn't change at all, but I still loved her in the first book, even though I didn't read much of it. But I loved Thumped. It surprised me. Out of this whole pile, it's the one that surprised me the most, because I did not like Bumped, but I loved Thumped. And that is all for me this week, guys. I'll see you next Monday, and like I said, this whole week is based on books that surprised us, and maybe some people won't do ones that disappointed them, but if I had just done ones that just surprised me in a good way, then I wouldn't have had much of a video. But there were a lot of ones that disappointed me, and I know that's kind of bad, but what can I say? There are some books that just aren't as good as most of the other books I've read. Me and my ramble. That's all for me this week. I hope to see you guys next week, and stay for the rest of the week to watch all the rest of the videos, because all these guys on the other videos, they're amazing, and it's been awesome to do this whole Bookish Days thing with them. See you guys next week!